I don't even think we need to do a preamble.
Yes, because people are going to listen to this down the line when there's, a couple of stupid people that haven't made up their mind who the fuck they're going to vote for yet. Who are you people? Pull your head out of your ass. It's 27 days before the election and you don't know who you're going to vote for. There's still a percentage of people that are undecided. You know what? Undecided people, don't vote. Don't do it. You're going to fuck it up anyway. If you're not decided who you're going to vote for at this point, you know what? Go fuck yourself and don't vote. 5, 6, 7, 8.
What is up, boyos? Welcome to the Jake and Cory podcast. I am Jake. That is Cory. What is up, Cory?
Jake, I'm ready to get into what we just witnessed, which is the vice presidential debates. I'm excited to dive into it. Not as an exciting night as that first thing that happened last week. I don't even think we can call that a debate. I think we call that a English massacre. I don't know, but it wasn't a debate. This was a debate. And I'm equally hyped. I'm actually was more so hyped for this one than I was for Uncle Joe and Crazy Rump.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be more civil and them to actually address issues, and it was, and they did. I'm gonna be honest. I think Mike Pence looked pretty okay during this debate. He definitely rambled on much longer than he should have, which kind of made him look bad. But I think, if you're a Republican on the edge, which, Cory's already made that that distinction. But I think if you are a Republican on the edge, you probably bought into his bullshit.
Well, you know what, Jake? You're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts.
Yeah. I love that she was like, that's a good line.
That's a good line. Someone wrote that shit for him backstage or whispered it in his earpiece. Someone wrote that for him. I'm going to tell you this, Jake. My impression of Mike Pence, I wrote this. I took notes.
Okay.
I wrote this down. I says, when I look into Pence's eyes, not the eye with the bloodshot in the corner that might be the beginning of the coronavirus, but when I look into his eyes, look into my eyes and tell me what it is you see. So when I look into Pence's eyes, I literally see the eyes of a dog that knows if he gets into the trash while his owner is away, when his owner finds out that the dog got into trouble, the owner's going to beat the dog shit out of him, no pun intended.
Yeah.
He literally looked like the whole time, the only thing, if there was like an LED scroll going through his head, it was, don't upset Papa.
Yeah, Papa Trump.
Don't piss off the Crazy Rump. And literally what it seemed like. He didn't come across to me as a man of his own. And I'm going to say that my comments about this are a bit biased because I was a Kamala Harris fan before. Now I am a Kamala Harris super fan. Number one super fan to the point, Jake, where I'm about to write a check to her campaign. That's how much of a super fan that she made me tonight. Take my criticisms of Pence with the fact that I'm a bigger fan of Kamala than I am of Uncle Joe.
Oh, yeah, I actually agree with you 100%. I mean, first and foremost, she's not 78 years old.
I didn't realize he's that damn old. Fuck.
Yeah, he's 78. Trump is 74. It's a bit ridiculous. That's why I was like, I feel like this debate is maybe one of the most important vice presidential debates of all time, because there's a good chance that either one of them will become president.
And the moderator,
the next 4 years.
I don't know who the moderator's name was, but she mentioned Uncle Joe's age and Crazy Rump's age in the question about talking to Uncle Joe and Crazy Rump about transfer of power or things like that. So I found that very interesting that it was presented to them. I don't think either one of them really answered the question, but I thought it was very interesting it was presented to them in the light of the fact of their age, not because of the fact that that Trump is sick or not because of the fact of anything else. The oldest presidents in our history. Wow. That's astonishing.
Yeah, truly. I think like Kamala did answer it. I don't think Pence answered. I mean, Pence backtracked and was like, there were several times where like Pence was asked a question. Like there was one that was like, how do you feel about the protests or whatever? And he's like, Joe Biden's tax reform. And it's like, what? Whoa, what are you talking about? Like he totally went off track a few times. And she was great. She was great. She was short, to the point. And like when the moderator, for the most part, when she was like, okay, that's your time, she was like, okay. There were a couple times where Kamala was like, okay, I got to put my foot down because Pence keeps talking. Like, I want to talk too.
Pence did get a little bit more time than Kamala did. I will say, I don't know if you caught this or not, Jake, but Pence, his attempt to talk to camera, trying to address the American people. Yeah. It literally came across as if one of the puppets from Sesame Street were talking to camera. Nothing's there. As I wave my hand in front of my eyes, nothing's there. It seemed so unnatural. It seemed like somebody back there told him, hey, Uncle Joe last week talked to American people. Kamala's probably going to do the same thing. So maybe you should talk to camera. Maybe that was Chris Christie's advice from, his deathbed in the hospital as he lays up with coronavirus right now. It just seems so completely unnatural. I don't know if you peeped that out as well.
I did. I actually did peep that out, as you said.
Yeah. Why do you have on sunglasses?
What's that?
Why do you have on sunglasses?
Because I'm fucking cool, dude.
You're just doing so many weird things today. Go ahead.
I've noticed it from both campaigns, though. I noticed it last week during the presidential debates when Biden was like, you need to come out of your bunker more, Trump, because he's like, I need to beat him to that bunker thing before Trump hits me with it. I also noticed today, Biden did a great speech today at Gettysburg, where he did a long speech about Abraham Lincoln and about how, what he stands for is what Abe stood for, and like basically hitting that really hard. And I can't help but think that he did that because Trump loves bringing up Abraham Lincoln. So if Biden like really hits that home more than Trump does, he wins. And Pence did the same thing tonight, where he was bringing up, he was looking at the camera. There were a few other things where, they both tried to stay calm and collected. They definitely took last week's debate into hand, both of them, where they're like, because there were a few moments where you're like, Kamala, calm down, don't interject. I know you want to, don't do it. And she didn't, which was great.
Well, you know what? I saw that she did interrupt him in a very, very strategic way.
How's that?
The side looks and facial expressions.
Yeah. That might come back.
No, I don't think so, bro. Those side looks and facial expressions said a little bit more than some of her words.
I can just imagine though, like how Fox News is gonna spin that, and like, look at how she stares, which, what, that kind of looks bad on them. So, fuck them.
Dude, that side look that she was giving him during when he was talking, and I also noticed that I also peeped out The fact that she made more eye contact or looked at him more when he was speaking than he looked at her. All of Pence's moves tonight seemed very, very calculated. They seemed very, they were totally on the other opposite of the spectrum from anything Crazy Rump has ever done. He's always, he's fly off the hinges. He's, comes across coked out. He's as crazy as wearing sunglasses at 8 o'clock at night. Things that Rump has done has just been, is in complete contrast to Pence. Pence seems just way too pensed up. I mean, he just looks like he needs to fart. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, let that gas go, bro. Let it go. No one's going to judge you. Let the fart out. Let the fart out and relax a little bit and show that he's human. You know who he put me in the mindset of, and this is going to really fuck up some people. He put me in the mindset of motorized Clinton, where Hillary Clinton had no effing emotions. He seems like he's just a droid that Crazy Rump has had manufactured in China, and he put a really stiff white wig on him and sit him in a chair and said, "You are now Pence." And then Zuckerberg over at Facebook did some programming for him, and there we have the Vice President Mike Pence.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, doesn't he look like Christian Bale? Is that just me?
That might be just you. That might be just you in your inebriated state. But the side looks of Kamala Harris tonight took my attention off Pence. I literally found myself glossing over at times when Pence was speaking. And
yeah, I said it during my stream of it at one point. I'm like, Pence is just saying word vomit. He's not saying anything.
Yeah.
He's saying a lot of pretty words, but saying
pretty words,
but like not saying anything at all at the same time. Like he would bring up these people and like about how they feel this way and they feel that way, while not saying anything at all. I felt like Kamala, she kind of did the same thing, but like she was saying some stuff. I mean, I honestly wish Kamala went a bit harder. I wish she kind of, because it's so easy to just fucking get in there with this administration. And I kind of wish she did. I did like the fact that both of them were respectful towards one another. The one thing that really fucked me up, though, was at the end when they asked Pence, so like, transfer of power, all that stuff, what's your position in that? He said, well, before I answer that, I'm like, interesting, what does that mean? And he's like, we're going to win this thing, blah, blah, blah. And then he didn't answer like what that would mean. I really wish he did, because what is his position in that? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm really jealous of your amazing HD, beautiful blue background shot that's coming over on twitch.tv. It looks really, really good versus the bullshit that I'm looking at through this feed. But that looks really good. I like the setup there. I agree with you that he dodged some questions, but Kamala Mama did too.
Yeah.
Stacking what do they say? Court packing dodge.
Yeah.
I had never heard of that. That was a little cringy for me.
That was a rough look on Kamala, honestly.
But she came across a little rough with that one, but she had a poignant response to the fact that, she made Abraham Lincoln reference, didn't she? Where it was
she did, yeah.
37 days before his election, and he avoided appointing a Supreme Court justice because he wanted to leave the election up to the new incoming president or him being reelected, that choice up. So that was kind of like her response, but she definitely dodged the court packing question
Well,
that
and
literally
actually
wasn't even posed to her from the moderator. It was Pence threw that out there.
But actually, Pence gave the perfect response to it. Well, and her response was fine as far as like, this is what we want to happen. Like, we want to be able, whoever wins this election gets to select. That's what should happen. But Pence gave the perfect response to her as well. Maybe Biden will answer it at the next debate. And it's like, yeah, that's true. That's more of a Biden question than a Kamala question, like that's.
Yeah, because I don't think the vice president has anything to do with the appointee of a Supreme Court justice.
She honestly may not know the answer to that question.
I never knew that a president could pack the court. I never knew that could happen. I never knew that it could be expounded past 9 justices.
Well, I don't think that's supposed to happen. But honestly, I would understand it if it did happen. Because, if we get this Republican lady in there, it's so stacked against Democrats. It would be there'd be 2 Democrats in there of the 9 seats. Or something.
Well, the way that it's people are projecting it is that, yeah, it would be stacked in favor of the Republican Party, especially in the event that the determination of who's our next president comes down to the Supreme Court. That's the underlying issue. If the election results are contested, which there has been undoubtingly, unwaveringly proof that if Trump doesn't win, he's going to. According to the Constitution, the Supreme Court will make the ultimate decision. And in the process of them making that decision, if it goes past January, we have President Pelosi, who's, by the way, 80,000 years old.
Just like the other 2, but
so this is the ultimate concern of the Supreme Court appointee, is that if we have a contested presidency, the Supreme Court is going to be tilted to the side of the Republicans, and therefore undermining our entire democracy of the election process, because we know who's going to get the popular vote. We can see the writing on the wall with the popular vote, but when it comes down to what that fucking crazy ass group of people, those delegates, when it comes down to those motherfuckers, that's where the Supreme Court has to step in. So if we have a Supreme Court that is Republican, bro, there's a 9 out of 10 chance that we're going to have 4 more years of Trump if it's a contested presidency, because that's the way the Constitution is written.
The other big thing would be Roe v. Wade, which is the right to have an abortion. The other thing I've heard is there's already someone on the seat, I think, who is very anti gay marriage. And who knows? I'm not saying that would happen, the turnaround on that, but totally within the realm of possibility, especially with Pence being a vice president who actively believes in conversion therapy. I wish someone would just bring that up. He brought up the fact that, Kamala bashed on, the Catholics, and her comeback was amazing. She's like, I am Catholic. And so is Joe. What are you talking about? Yeah.
She had some really good responses to Pence. The first, another t-shirt that I need is a t-shirt that reads, I am not going to be lectured.
Yeah.
I need a t-shirt that says that. I'm not going to be lectured. And I need a t-shirt that says you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. I need 2 of those t-shirts printed ASAP.
Well, we can all agree, though, that the real winner of the debate was the fly on Mike Pence's head.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you what you saw. And I giggled while you were talking earlier because I came across an Instagram post from comedian Sam Comroy who screen captured the fly on Pence's head. And he wrote, he got a fly in his hair because he's a piece of shit. It's literally what the Instagram says. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the significance of a fly. There is some very important biblical significances when it comes to the fly. The fly in the post-biblical Judaism and in Christianity, Satan became known as the Prince of Devils and assumed various names like Beelzebub, which is also Lord of the Flies. Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies. So when you have a fly, and in some southern states, they believe this, when a fly lands on you, that's the devil. Now, I'm not saying that's the way that I believe. All I'm doing is quoting the post-biblical story.
Yeah.
So when you got flies, flies are attracted to like-minded demons, if you will. So when the fly chose to land in the whitest hair on national television, folks, you saw Beelzebub at his best, making a statement on the global scale that he is the head of this that's been going on. Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, attends the vice presidential debate.
I took it as, flies are attracted to garbage, so yeah, that was hilarious. You could see Kamala just staring at it too, and you could tell she was like tempted to be like, "Hey," but she did it. I do think it took away from a very poignant moment in the debate.
Oh, it totally it stole the show. If the fly isn't trending on Twitter right now, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that'll become a famous debate moment for sure. But Kamala was like doing some great words there about, Trump actively saying that, those guys who had the torches and were like KKK members and stuff. And then he said they're good on both sides. And yeah, really good that she brought that up. But the fly.
And by the way, for the record, the fly is trending on Twitter right now. The fly. And rightfully so. But I agree with you, Jake. It did distract from it because all I found myself was staring at the fly. And I believe the fly may have been on Pence's head as long as the knee of that officer was on the neck of George Floyd. Just putting that out there. Might be a little tie in there. Just drop that there, and I'm going to be over here, and call me if you have any questions.
So I think ultimately with the debate, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think ultimately, like my number one takeaway from the debate is it was a harmless debate, and like I don't think it's going to sway anyone one way or the other. I think it did make Kamala look really good. But at the same time, if I'm a kooky Trump supporter, I probably watch that and think Pence looked pretty good. There's a couple things that I just like fundamentally disagree with Kamala on as well. But like, it's the things that she agrees with Pence on, like fracking and stuff. I'm like, just get rid of fracking. What are you talking about? But
I had to look up what fracking was. I'm an idiot. I have no idea what the fuck fracking was.
Yeah, it's like getting natural gases and like destroying land to get it. But like that's okay, because like the thing is they're not trying to get me, right? They're not trying to appeal to me in these debates because they already have me. They're
not appeal. These debates aren't supposed to appeal to those that have made up their decisions. Have made their decision, which is the reason why the knuckle draggers that are still undecided this far in the game, they're the reason they're pretty much the reason why. And if you're going to make your decision off of what you see in these debates, I question your judgment. You should be able to make your decision off the historical performance of both sides, not just because of 90 minutes on TV.
True.
And 5 questions.
True. But, you know, some people don't pay attention to politics. I think that's a little different this year. But, like, sometimes it is a thing where, like, people just don't pay attention to politics until the debates. And they're like, okay, this guy got me. But, you know, it was one of those things where I saw it and I'm like, I don't really agree with that. She didn't push back on, like, the pro-choice thing. But I'm like, you know what? She's not trying to get me. You know, she's trying to get the people who are on the fence. So don't push too hard on that stuff. It's a good call, actually, on her part. The coronavirus stuff was hilarious, honestly.
Oh my God.
Because, like, it started with coronavirus. I wish they spent more time on coronavirus because, like, here's the thing. Like, Pence is the coronavirus task force leader or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's done a horrible job.
Yeah.
And there's no way to defend it. And he tried his best. Basically, Kamala's like, you've done nothing. The American people are dying. We're the worst state or the worst country as far as deaths go. And his response was, that's pretty disrespectful to the American people who are making a lot of sacrifices right now. It's like,
I loved how he tried to play.
That's not the point.
I love how he tried to play her on the fact of her saying, I will be the first in line for a vaccine, but I won't take it if it's Trump's vaccine.
Right.
And then Pence just like, I was looking at that and listening, I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, don't undermine the power of vax. The fuck, bro? Really?
And yeah, it's like, that's not what she said. She said if Fauci came out and was like, this vaccine's legit, she would do it. Right. She just wouldn't do it if it was just Trump coming out and saying, this is the vaccine, this is the one. Because yeah, why would you? Why would you trust that? Trump has done nothing to make you believe in anything he has to say, and Pence proved that you can't believe anything he has to say either, because that whole coronavirus bit, he was talking out his ass the whole fucking time.
Yeah, I did learn one thing, and I'm not a political pundit. I'm not all into it, you know, as some other people are, and I've said that on the show, and I may come across ignorant at times, and that's fine. Who cares? That's
the point of the show. We're just two real dudes talking politics.
Right. We're just like everybody else around the water cooler, or not around the water cooler, around the barbecue pit, socially distanced, talking about what we think. I did not know that the pandemic task force that was put into place by the Obama administration not only worked out of the White House, I did not know that they took residence in China. I didn't know that we had a sect of people that were studying potential pandemic outbreaks in China. I never knew that. I thought they were just, you know, a group of a whole lot of nerds sitting around with backwards hats and sunglasses on at night, just trying to figure out what to do about a pandemic. No, that's not what they were. They were literally on ground zero of where pandemics could be born and where pandemics have been born. I did not know that team was actually on the ground in China. And I did not know that they were pulled out. That's literally taking the unlocking the door of the jail cell and walking away and allowing the inmate to do whatever the inmate wants to do. And here we are again. I literally just thought that group, that pandemic task force was a group that, you know, sat around and had Zoom calls with the CDC. I didn't realize they were on ground zero. I did not. And that makes it even more poignant to the fact that that group was dismantled. And that really came to the forefront because it would have been that group that would have been able to step in and handle this back in January or back in December or November when dude was over there with a fork and a knife, you know, eating out a bat's ass. They would have known about it. You know, so I learned that and didn't realize that tonight.
Yeah, and also Trump got rid of that entire thing, the entire pandemic response team. And Pence tried to downplay it. No, that's not true. No, it is true. So
Yeah.
yeah, that it was honestly it's a shit show. I do wish that Kamala went harder.
I think so too, but she also
She
gave
pulled her
me
punches.
she gave me the perfect expression. Because when someone asks me, and not many people do, when someone asks me how I feel about Crazy Rump's administration, I never really had a word. I never really had a proper expression of how I feel. I do now, thanks to Mama Harris. Isolationism. Isolationism. That's the perfect expression for what I disagree with Crazy Rump's administration. Isolationism. America has never been an isolated country. We have always been part. We have always had allies. We've had adversity as well, but we've had allies. We work with them and we've kept our promises with them, and they have kept their promises with us. When she said the word isolationism, that went off like Krispy Kreme donut sign in the window of a Krispy Kreme that they're making fresh donuts. It went off in me like that. That's the one perfect expression. I do not agree with isolationism. You cannot operate in this world on your own. You know where countries that are isolated from the rest of the world, they're third world countries. They're not first world countries like America is. Like the United States. I have to stop saying America because there's more than one America. The United States, you will not survive in this global economy, global operations on an island of one. And I feel that that's the perfect expression of what Crazy Rump's administration has done. He has systematically isolated us from the rest of the world, and not in a good way. It's almost to the point where it's like a person that has a personality that shoots off a lot of bad negative energy. They're not telling you to go away, but because of the negative energy they're expressing, you just decide to leave. So I think that's how the rest of the world is looking at the US right now. We've put off so much bad negative energy, they don't want nothing to do with us, therefore causing us to be isolated.
True. Yeah. Bringing up China and how Trump lost the China war, which was great.
That was funny.
Great line.
That was a good punch.
Yeah, great line. And then he said, well, you didn't even fight the war. And she's like, well, yeah, because we're not at war. And it's like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And her bringing up the fact that, Obama saved us from a recession actively. Trump took us from the heights, us building, us growing, and threw it all away.
Yeah.
He threw it all away, and he could blame it on the pandemic, but we could have handled it so much better.
And I didn't agree with Pence's response. I believe it was during the question of climate change, where he said that America has the cleanest air, the cleanest water. Has he not been to Michigan?
Flint, Michigan. I said that on stream too. I was like, dude, bring up Flint, Michigan, please. She didn't.
She didn't. Flint, Michigan, we have the greatest water. People in Flint, Michigan there are still communities in Louisiana from Hurricane Katrina 12, 15 years ago that are still having to bottle in water, still can't even rebuild their homes. But yet we have the clean energies and clean water. What the fuck, bro? My water that comes out of my tap sometimes tastes like it was spewed out of a camel's dick.
True.
And we've got the best water? Fuck you, dude.
Paris literally has water fountains that have sparkling water that come out of it.
Yeah.
Like, and literally, like, buying water bottles is a very American industry.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
It's a very American industry because in most, like, first world countries, you go to a fountain that's around your town and you fill up a jug and you've got your water and it's just like clean, clear water. That's not the case.
We're talking about as short a time ago as 20, 30 years, man. When I was a young warthog, I would go up to a fountain. They used to have water fountains all over the city. You walk up to a water fountain and I remember one water fountain that was in downtown Phoenix, right on the corner of between Jefferson and Washington on Central Avenue, where the old bus station used to be. There was a water fountain that used to sit on the same corner that now has a Firehouse Subs building sitting on it. But it used to be a delicious sandwiches. And good cause. Place.
Yeah.
Used to be a water fountain right there. And I remember walking up to that water fountain with my grandma Blaze when we were catch the bus, when we were on our way up to Park Central Mall for her to go to Joe's Shoe Repair to have her heels grinded off the bottom of her high heel shoes when I didn't understand that when she should have just bought flats, but that's not the point. I go to that water fountain and it was city water. You turn it on, you drink out of it. Who cares that there was a homeless man that was most likely taking a Tuesday in it 2 days before, but it was still city water, city groundwater. We don't have water fountains no more. We don't have those anymore because the water isn't drinkable. We're not even investing in cleaner energies and cleaner waters right now. Talk to people that work at the Salt River Project. Talk to people that work on the Colorado River. They're struggling to do things. They have a broken. We got clean it, man. When he said the best water, I literally wanted to stab my TV with my remote control, but then I realized that Cox Communication has already replaced my remote 4 times so far this month. This may be going a little overboard.
So I kind of want to pivot here. Do you have any final words on the debate? Because I want to pivot to something because since the last time we recorded, some stuff has happened that I kind of want to talk about.
I do have a last word. Two quick points. When the last question was asked from the little girl of how are we supposed to, well, I'm assuming it was a little girl. How are we supposed to, how are we supposed to act civil when I look at the news and all of you some bitches are not acting civil? And I'm paraphrasing, the little 8th grader may or may not have said some bitches, but I'm sure somewhere in there she won't say some bitch.
She's in 8th grade. We all say some bitch in 8th grade.
When Pimps and Beelzebub were answering the question, I was literally saying to the TV, Kamala, turn on your mothering. Turn on your mothering. I needed her to be a mom. Give the mom response to that 8th grader. I needed her to do that. And Jake, she didn't. No. I think she fumbled that question from the 8th grader. I'm a Kamala fan, super fan number 1 here. But I think she fumbled that. If she would have turned on her mothering, if she would have spoke to that 8th grader as any other parent would have spoke to that 8th grader and made it plain and not speak adult to her, I think that would have reached the relevancy and connection to other mothers and other parents. If she would have dumbed it down. I think that was a perfect opportunity for her to dumb it down, and I think she fumbled it. Number 2, I brought this up after the last debate, Jake. The ending when the spouses take the stage. Another poignant thing displayed for all to see. No mask on Mrs. Pence. A mask on Mr. Harris. And again, the Pence family has been exposed to a person that has tested positive for the coronavirus, and his name is Crazy Rump. Number one, they should have never been on that damn stage to begin with. He should have been on the damn TV, but little monitor. But I understand. Still, no mask on Mother Pence. No mask. Mr. Harris kissed his wife through his mask.
Hell yeah. It's nothing.
You know what I'm saying? You can't, dude. That speaks volumes. Just like Kamala Mama's facial expressions spoke louder than her words to me. The fact that one had on a mask and the other one didn't, double down again on the fact that they're not taking this seriously, and the fact that Pence is the head of the Corona Task Force is even more poignant. He fumbled that. Fumbled it. No mask. And you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to make my last point. But those were my 2 points.
Yeah. Go into your first point. I kind of agree. I think she should have gone. I don't think she should have talked more like a child. I think she could have gone in harder and been like, this is what the Trump administration has presented. There were times in the past, you can look at different examples of, Obama versus McCain. She could have done that. Where
you don't think she could have went to the point where she didn't have to belittle her, but dude, she could have turned off the politician right there. I think that was a miss. She could have turned it off and spoke to an 8th grader. When you speak to an 8th grader, you're not talking to her like she's going to go vote. You're talking to someone that most likely just got through listening to one of those K-pop bands a few minutes before she wrote the damn essay. And she probably wrote the essay with a number 2 pencil. You don't think she should have dumbed it down and spoke kid?
Well, I think, 8th graders aren't dumb. They know. I think that
they're
point
not adults either.
That would have been poignant, though, to be like, this has been what the Trump administration has been the entire time. That's not the route she took. She took the more like, Biden is a good guy and he wants to fight on both sides, fight for both things.
She went political.
But her response was 10 times better than Pence's, where it was literally just, well, sometimes things get heated. That's basically what he said.
And I think I think Pence's response was a little bit more relatable because, Pence kind of seemed like he was talking to a young adult that was questioning why mom and daddy were fighting. I think that's where that the whole point that they should have taken was mommy and daddy are fighting, and this is why. It's not necessarily okay, but it is necessary.
He did come across as like Grandpa Pence there, but I think the sentiment of his answer was just wrong.
It was just words. It was word vomit, like you said.
Well, I think it's more than that. Basically, he's saying, no, things get ugly, and we want it to be ugly, and it's okay because that's how discourse works. And it's like,
oh yeah, I see.
I don't know, man. And
so he was like, saying fighting is okay.
And he's like, look at us, me and Kamala. We've had a nice conversation, and we disagree, but we're good. Which is like, yeah, that's fair. But what about last week during the Trump Biden debate? That was all Trump. Like, let's be honest. Like, Biden wouldn't have been that spicy if Trump wasn't such an asshole during the whole thing. The second point. What was the second point you made? About
the mask at the end. The spouses taking the stage.
Yeah, I think that point drives home exactly what you said. But as I stated earlier, Biden did a speech today, and a big part of his speech was wearing a mask is not a political statement; it's science. And that what they did at these debates, Trump's family not wearing a mask, Pence's wife not wearing a mask, that is a political statement.
Yeah.
Of them saying fuck masks, and Harris wearing the mask and her husband, that isn't a political statement. That's science.
Yeah, I mean, you have to realize that also his boss, Crazy Rump, literally told everybody, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, something that has killed 210,000 plus people, hospitalized millions more, put the entire globe on pause, fucked up a lot of lives. If you didn't get sick, you got sick financially, or you got sick emotionally. But don't fear it. That's literally the song of, did he listen to Don't Fear the Reaper before he sent that tweet?
Well, that's kind of where I wanted to pivot to.
I pivoted for you because I'm a good broadcaster.
I appreciate that. I wanted to pivot to the fact the last time we talked, Trump was just entering into Walter Reed Medical Center because he had come down with the coronavirus.
The Rona.
So he was on his way there the last time we talked. It's been, 3 days?
Yep.
That man is out of Walter Reed Medical Center. First thing he said when he got out was he made a video about how we shouldn't let the fear of the coronavirus control our lives. Basically saying, if the coronavirus does affect you, it's on you. You're weak. That is basically what he said. And not to mention, while he was at Walter Reed, he decided to do a little joyride and drove around with 2 people in the car with him. Those dudes definitely contracted coronavirus.
Jake, the presidential SUV is hermetically sealed in the event of a bio attack, gases, nerve gas attack. The president can seek refuge in one of the SUVs. All of the presidential motorcade is hermetically sealed, meaning that if gases can't get in, they can't get out. You basically took the lives of those 2 men who have agreed to give their life to protect your ass. You put them in a a pressure cooker of corona spores. Because even with the mask on, if it's not tight fitting in your mouth, out the side, above the cheeks, he's a plump gentleman. There's some extra plumpage around the cheeks. If you speak, they can come out that way, which is clearly illustrated on the CDC's website. He put those men that have already agreed to protect your ass in even more danger. For what? A photo op. Now, Jake, I have boots on the ground in Washington, D.C. I've got friends in Washington, D.C. who drove in front of the Walter Reed Medical Center. The news media way overplayed that. There wasn't that big of a crowd when he was out there. The cameras were just zoned in on a handful of people. My guy, who's a very reputable source in Washington, D.C., drove through and said he probably counted maybe 20, 23 people. And the proof is in how fast the motorcade was moving. Because if it was that many people, as much as the media was trying to make us think, that motorcade wouldn't have been able to go that fast. And all the traffic around it wouldn't have been able to be moving that fast. But he still put those 2 men who have given their life to protect the president in greater danger.
Well, and then on top of that, he also stated that while he was in Walter Reed, he was going and visiting with people who were in the military. What are you doing? You're putting them all at risk. I read an article right before the debate about how there are more than 35 White House representatives and people who work in the White House that now have coronavirus.
And even more are quarantined.
So what that brings me to is Trump, not only has he killed 200,000 people, more than that, 210,000 people now, he single-handedly, as a human being, has given it to probably hundreds of people himself. Just by being reckless and careless. He gets out, he takes a helicopter, so people are driving with him in the helicopter. He walks up these stairs, he takes his fucking mask off with coronavirus, and he's up there huffing and puffing, using his neck muscles to breathe. You could tell this man's struggling to breathe. And he's like, oh, it's fine. No big deal. This man is on steroids. Of course he doesn't have a temperature right now. He's taking like a shitload of steroids. Of course he's feeling probably pretty okay. He's on a shit ton of steroids. I mean, I'm not too confident that Trump is going to make it through this very well. The other thing I've heard is there are rumors right now that Don Jr., his son, wants to plan an intervention for his father because he thinks his father is acting out of line. And there is also speculation and evidence to prove that these medications that he's taking, I forget what it's called, like Respitor or something.
Revidicir. They're experimental. Yeah. They're not FDA approved. They're experimental. And one quick note, Jake. He was able to get care at Walter Reed Medical Center because of Obamacare. And the treatments that he got, that experimental drug, was from a company that experiments on fetuses.
Stem cells.
Stem cells.
Yeah, no one wants to bring that up either. But the thing with Respitor, whatever it's called, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Revidimicir.
Yeah, that. It's speculated to give people dementia-like, thoughts.
Too late.
It's expected to give people thoughts of grandeur.
Too late.
So basically, Don Jr. is like, bro, you're out of line. What's going on? Also, a press secretary came out and said that Trump isn't doing well. And I tend to agree. I mean, why would they be giving him these experimental drugs if he was doing well?
And the drugs that they were giving him that weren't experimental, that are being administered to other COVID patients in the hospital, are drugs that are given to people that are worst cases.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario people. So that either points to the fact that he's getting VIP treatment, or that's pointing to the fact that he is really way more sick than they're telling us.
Yeah.
And that was brought up in tonight's debate as well. The transparency of the health of our president, because though I don't support Crazy Rump, the office that he holds is very, very important. And how the rest of the world and people that have aspirations to bring this country down will prey on the fact of a sick and ill leader. Same thing that's happening over in China when Kim Jong-un, we don't know if he's alive or dead. But you don't think that the world ain't watching that?
Yeah. Speaking of Kim Jong-un, Trump did a very Kim Jong-un move as well. These are they released like a set of 3 or 4 pictures of him like working on documents in the hospital and shit. This is so Kim Jong-un. When they checked the metadata, these pictures were taken 10 minutes apart from each other. This is propaganda at its height to show that, hey, your sick leader is not sick. He's sick. This man he's sick in multiple ways. I mean,
I was about to say, can you be a little bit more specific? Here's the thing.
Physically and mentally sick.
When I told my little brother, J Little D, that Crazy Rump had tested positive for the coronavirus, his response was fake news. He doesn't think he has it. He thinks that this is all a ploy, and there are a segment of people out there that are starting to think that the timing of how all of this happened and the time that he spent inside the hospital, and in 3 days he was out. There's a lot of significant things in history that happened in 3 days.
I just don't know how it would. I've heard that too. I just don't know how that would actually benefit him. There's so much there's so much that could go wrong with that plan for him to put that into action. There's no way to defend the fact that 200,000 people have died from this.
No.
And he said, I've gotten the best care, and it's like, of course you have. You're the president, but not everyone has that care available to them. I just don't think that would benefit him. And also seeing him standing up there choking, just just barely breathing after walking up a small flight of stairs. I don't know, man. But he's also fat.
He is fat. It was a point that I was going to make, and I totally lost it.
Hell of an ass, though.
Dude, Chris Christie. Yeah. Oh, actually, one of our own representatives from the Buckeye area traveled to Washington, D.C., him and his wife, and he's in the ICU on a ventilator right now.
No shit.
Because he went to Washington, D.C. and caught the Rona. And he's a heavier set guy. I'm really concerned about Chris Christie right now. Because home dude is the size, he's got a tank ass. He's a big dude, and he's got it. And it's one of the reasons why I've been so damn bubble boy since this whole thing began, because I know I got a tank ass too. And I get this, I'm, soft shoeing it on up to the pearly gates. You know what I mean? But I firmly believe that Crazy Rump is sick.
Yeah.
He's sick. And we saw steroid Trump, where you're hopped up on all these steroids. That thing where you say he was breathing through his neck, I know that look. That's the look of an asthmatic.
Yeah.
An asthmatic trying to grasp air. I had asthma as a kid. I know what that is like.
Same. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's definitely not well. And another point, Jake, he has not been seen in person in over 44 hours.
Is that true?
That is true.
He is still putting out crazy tweets.
He's tweeting like a motherfucker, but Jake, I can give you my phone and you can tweet for me.
That's true.
He's been tweeting like crazy, but he has not been seen in public in 44 hours. But yet there was a news break today that we're taping this show that there was a military personnel outside one of the access doors of the White House. And that military personnel is only there in the event that the president is in the White House, is in the Oval Office, meaning that news is speculated he's broken quarantine and returned to the Oval Office.
Oh my God. I mean, is that surprising though?
No. And it wouldn't be surprising if he was faking this whole thing either. I think that this him getting sick, I firmly believe is going to be the nail in the coffin of his presidency.
Yeah, I think so too. And
I think this is it. I think the American people say, you can't even protect yourself. How the fuck are you going to protect me and my family?
Well, yeah, and that's what I mean, him faking the sickness. I don't think there's any way to really spin it, except for maybe 50 crazy motherfuckers like Alex Jones or something, to make this look good in your favor. I think also the fact that there's 30 something other White House correspondents and staffers who are also with coronavirus, that's not a good look. And the fact that it's all Republicans, and the fact that now that you said that someone's in the ICU for this, it's pretty telling. It's pretty bad. I keep saying, and I don't wish this upon anyone. Definitely don't wish this upon anyone. But all it'll take is one of them to die before when they'll be like, oh yeah, they're fucked. And with the numbers that have come out, it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Yeah, totally. And I told you on last week's show, the odds are not in his favor.
No.
Due to his weight and due to his age. The odds of him coming out on the other side of this are 17%.
Yeah, we may see a Pence Biden debate next week. Who knows?
We don't know, and we don't wish harm on anyone.
No, no.
But you know what? If you take a knife and you cut the top of your hand, don't look at me and expect me to have sympathy that you're bleeding.
Yeah, I mean, if you commit seppuku, like, there's nothing I can do about it.
Not. And there is definitely a huge Twitter uproar about the fly and Kamala Harris's facial expressions.
Good.
But I agree with you 100%, man, Jake. This is the things that unfolded 3 days later, the trip, the ride out in front of 25, 30 people with the world's largest Trump flags. It's so difficult to even comment on because you never could fathom this, and then to come out 3 days later and say don't fear it. And I think it was you that said this isn't going to change anything about him. This isn't going to change anything about him. This isn't going to stop him from the rhetoric. This isn't going to stop him from playing it down. Nothing. And I believe he wanted to stand there at the top of those stairs. And I'm so glad they made his ass go up them stairs when he got out of Marine One and not take the elevator. Somebody in that White House don't like him. They made his ass go up them stairs knowing damn well he was going to be out of breath whether he had corona or not. Because hell, when I go up my own damn stairs, I'm out of breath. So they knew he was going to be out of breath, and he wanted to stand there stiff with his chest up. Like, look how strong I am. No, motherfucker, you can't breathe. We see it on your face. You went from orange to red because you ain't got no oxygen in your blood.
Yeah, the last video I saw that he uploaded, man, he tried to put that orange paint on his face, and it just looks horrible, looks bad. His hair is all disheveled, and like it. Yeah, he's looking pretty rough. So I mean, we'll see what transpires.
Well, the New England Journal of Medicine came out today, and they outright condemned. The New England Journal of Medicine is like one of the largest medical journals on the planet. And they came out and absolutely unemphatically condemned the Trump administration's response to COVID-19. They called it an unprecedented move. I'm sorry, response in an unprecedented move. They called it out. They called it out as it just being absolutely ridiculous. The New England Journal of Medicine published an editorial signed by its editors on Wednesday that condemns the Trump administration's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and calls for the current political leaders to be voted out of office. The magnitude, quote, the magnitude of this failure is astonishing, unquote, the editor reads. The journal is not the only medical or scientific publication to take a political stance ahead of a presidential election, as Scientific American announced in September that it was endorsing Democratic president candidate Uncle Joe.
Good.
Dude, if
it is, we're at a point now where it is like, man, should we just replace every fucking politician? Because this is ridiculous.
Yes. And you know what, Jake? You just revealed my voting strategy. If your ass is in office, your ass is getting voted out.
Yeah.
That's how I'm taking it. My ballot, if you're in, I'm going for whoever's going to replace you. We need new money. We need new blood in from your local offices all the way up to the federal level. Replace all they asses, because everybody that's sitting there now ain't done shit to stop nothing. So they're all complacent, therefore guilty by association. Both sides of the aisles. Everybody out of the pool.
There was
get that guy that's riding around drinking ocean spray listening to Fleetwood Mac. Get his ass in there.
There was a debate It was Lindsey Graham, who is a senator, and he had a debate with Jamie Harrison. And Jamie Harrison showed up with his own plexiglass wall. And he set that plexiglass wall up, and he's like, "Hey, man, you're friends with Trump. I don't want anything to do with you." And he set that bitch up, and he's like, "I am not coming near you at all."
I wouldn't.
And it was such big dick energy. Like, this man definitely won that debate just with that move alone. Yeah, but we've got 2 more, maybe. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if we get them. And we like to end every show by saying, fucking vote. Just
Please.
vote.
My God in heaven, dude, there were naked celebrities released a video today asking people to vote. If you don't want to vote for the fact that we don't want to see none of them celebrities naked. I do not want to see what's the name girl naked? No more. What's her name? The black chick with the mole on her face. The black comedian.
No idea.
Thank you very much, Jake. I don't want to see those. They were not pretty. Now, if it was Justin Timberlake or J-Lo,
Cory Blaze.
No, I only want to see Cory Blaze naked telling me to vote. If it was like Zach Braff, you know what I mean? some sexies. No, these weren't sexy celebrities. These were dad bobs and fake boobs. Vote, people, so they don't have to do this shit. They don't have to do this again. Vote. I don't want to see. I want pretty celebrities naked on the internet, not the regular looking celebrities.
100% agreed.
Thank you. We need pretty celebrities.
Well, thank you for joining me live here today, Cory. I appreciate it. Thanks for anyone who is watching live currently. Also, check out the Jake and Cory podcast every Monday. We plan on doing one for the next debate if there is one. We'll see. Also, check out the Loner Gamecast every Tuesday. Yeah, thanks for watching. Fucking vote, you doofus.
Please.